going on, Swiper Gang? What's going on? What's going on? Welcome back to another episode. Hope you're having a great day. I hope you have a great weekend. I know a lot of y'all have a longer weekend, got a 3-day weekend coming up. Just wanted to do a little quick video, just a chat, man. You know, we haven't talked since the Mike Singer video that we did, I believe on Monday, I want to say. Obviously covering the Tim Connelly exit to the Minnesota Timberwolves. Calvin Booth is taking over. So the team going in the same direction, but obviously there are going to be some things that are different. Got a brand new GM, a new assistant GM. So there's some things that are going to happen in the next few months that are going to be integral to the Denver Nuggets being a team that many of us believe they can be, that from the organization's, their tone has communicated that they want to be. So we'll have to see. But right now, we're in a situation where you have an all-time great player, as you see in the headline, the back-to-back MVP, the second back-to-back MVP in the NBA. The first one, Giannis Antetokounmpo, he won his championship. He won his championship last year, and now everything else is about what they're going to do from here. How are you continue to improve the team? What adjustments are you going to continue to make? How are you going to continue to build around him? Had they had Chris Middleton this year, they probably would have beat the Celtics, probably would have beat the Heat, and had a great chance beating the Warriors or beating the Mavericks had they come out. So, you know, we'll have to see, man. There's a lot of stuff that's going to have to be discussed in the next coming months because right now the Denver Nuggets are in a time period where I don't think they've ever been. You know, you had your Alex English days, you had your David Thompson days, your Dan Izzo, you had your Carmelo Anthony, Chauncey Billups, and Kenyon Martin, Anthony Carter days, and Andre Miller's. You had your Ty Lawson days as well when Iggy was on the team in 2012 and 13. But now the Denver Nuggets are in a different stratosphere. There are different expectations. We've talked about this a lot, that when you have a player of Nikola Jokic's ilk, you want to do whatever you can to fortify that player with as much assistance as possible. One of the things that was so frustrating for me during the playoff run is that when I'm seeing Nikola Jokic put up 31.3, I think it was 13 rebounds, and then 6 assists on 63% true shooting. And then the last 3 games of the series averaging 36, 15, and 6 on 73% true shooting. When I'm watching that, I'm frustrated because everybody's getting on Joker for being isolated against Steph Curry, being isolated against Jordan Poole. And every so often, Steph Curry would take him to the basket at the end of the game. And so he's getting blamed for not being able to cover as the second greatest point guard of all time, anywhere between a top 7 to a top 15 player all time. People wanted to have this conversation about Joker that you couldn't win with him, that he's not that kind of guy. Nick Wright? Yeah, man. Nick Wright was trying to make all the comments and say he wasn't this and that he was a fake MVP, that had no chance of winning, you know, this and that. But he never wanted to talk about how good he was. So the thing that was frustrating for me was Giannis has Drew Holiday. Giannis has Chris Middleton. Giannis has Wes Matthews. Giannis has players around him, including Bobby Portis and Brook Lopez, to mitigate his flaws. He is not a great playmaker, but they have enough playmakers that it makes it you don't need to have an elite playmaker on the roster. He's not like a tremendous at the rim defender. He is a great at the rim defender, but they don't want him doing that all the time. So what they said, then we're going to get Brook Lopez. We're going to get Bobby Portis to help him. That way, when Giannis is playing that weak side defender, that rotational defender, or if he's on ball, we're going to have somebody that's at the rim to help him. Giannis is not the best point of attack defender against guards, but again, not a lot of bigs are. So then what was happening is he got Drew Holiday, he got Wes Matthews, he got these great point of attack defenders to help him, and they were able to win the championship because of it, including Chris Middleton, who's a good defender. And then it's the same thing, you know, LeBron James gets Anthony Davis. All these other perennial great players, Steph Curry gets Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant, Draymond Green, Harrison Barnes, now Jordan Poole. Steph Curry gets all this help and assistance because that's what it takes for Pantheon greats to win. You need those kind of things. You need players to mitigate the flaws that you have as a player. So if that's the case, then the way that you cover Jokic, the way that you get Jokic help is by not putting small players around him who are not great defenders. Facundo Campazzo, Monte Morris. I think Bones has all-star level potential, but Bones is not a great defender. You don't want to put players around him that can't excel on points that he can't excel at. Because the thing is, when they're playing against Steph Curry, they're playing against Klay Thompson and Jordan Poole and them, you don't want Jokic having to worry about being the at-the-rim defender and then also having to worry about him covering people on the perimeter. You don't want him to do that. But Giannis has all this help and protection, so therefore people don't castigate him after he won that championship, and he has an opportunity to do so. LeBron, you can't talk about his weaknesses because in his prime he didn't really have any. But the thing was, when you're one of these Pantheon greats, you still surround him with elite talent. You give him a Kyrie Irving, J.R. Smith, Kyle Korver, Kevin Love, Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade. You give him these Rashad Lewises. You give him these players that are elite sharpshooters, scorers that help him. That way, when he's playmaking, he can dish it out and give the ball to the people he needs to give it to. So my thing with Jokic is the Denver Nuggets can no longer go into a season without having elite point of attack defenders on his roster. You can't do it. And one of the reasons you can't do it is because that's not his skill set. That's his weakest. The two things he's weakest at is point of attack defense and at the rim defense. He's good in pick and roll. He's not like terrible on rotations. He's really good in rotations, and he's also pretty good like in space against non-elite players. But you can't do that. You can't do that too often. So what they need to do is find players that can play at the point of attack, to find players who are intelligent, who know how to play basketball, want to make the right move. They want to make the right decisions with the ball. You want to find players who know where they're supposed to be, when they're supposed to be there. That way, Nikola Jokic knows he can rely on these players in order to get the job done. But the thing that I think they're going to have to do this offseason, if I am them, again, Nikola Jokic, and this is if you're just getting here, this is where I started this off at. He's signing a $260 million extension this offseason, y'all. $260 million extension. 260. So if that's the case, you're going to have the highest paid player in NBA history. Highest paid player in NBA history. Matter of fact, if you haven't seen this, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share this for y'all so y'all can see it. CBS report that came out. Nikola Jokic plans to sign a 5-year, $260 million Supermax deal with the Nuggets in the offseason. He currently has 1 year and $32 million remaining on his contract. And then it's going to kick in following the 2022-2023 season. Nikola Jokic has already said that he wants to be on the team. Even after the departure of Tim Connolly, he wants to be back on the team. He wants to stay in Denver. Per his quote, I would like it, of course, meaning that would he sign the extension? I would like it, of course, but it's not something that I'm deciding, Jokic said about the extension. I think, of course, if it's offered, if the offer is on the table, of course, I'm going to accept it because I really like the organization and really like the people who work there. So, again, that's from the horse's mouth. That's from the horse's mouth. And again, if you didn't see it, I just want to show y'all. Nikola Jokic plans to sign a 5-year, $260 million Supermax deal with the Denver Nuggets this offseason. Y'all, I mean, again, that's what it takes when you have a Pantheon great player. So if that's the case then, and they're going to be doing that, and they're going to sign a player like this, then you need to make sure you're fortifying that player to cover all of their deficiencies and highlight all the things that they're exceptional at. And y'all, by the way, if it's lagging a little bit, I'm sorry. Having a little bit of internet issue, but hopefully we'll stay cool for the rest of the episode. But y'all, here's my thing. If I'm the Denver Nuggets, ideal players that I'm targeting this offseason, you already got Jamal Murray, great on-ball creator, great pick-and-roll player, great shooter, great scorer. He's only going to be 25 years old. He's going to continue to ascend into his prime. I think he's going to get close to that. He's going to probably start his prime by the end of the regular season and going into the playoffs, and then obviously going into the next season when you start turning 26, going into that age 27 season as well. So Jamal Murray, good. I trust Jamal Murray in big moments. I trust that he can do what he needs to do. I trust that he can make good decisions. And then you have your Aaron Gordon. Aaron Gordon is a good player relative to what he's asked to do. Aaron Gordon can do the switching. Aaron Gordon can be a good on-ball defender. He can guard your wings. He needs to get better, obviously, at contesting at the rim. He needs to get smarter, but he already said that. I'm going to work on my IQ this offseason because I want to be able to help the big fella out even more. Aaron Gordon can have to take a lead defensively. Ideally, Aaron Gordon is going to be in a nomination to be at least second-team All-NBA. That's my ideal level for Aaron Gordon. I want him to be able to be in a conversation for second-team All-NBA by the end of the season. That's what I want. That's what I want. Love Aaron Gordon's game. Michael Porter Jr., I know a lot of people are like kind of torn about this, but people have to remember, like, when Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., and Nikola Jokic are on the court, they're basically like the best trio in the NBA offensively, like by far. Like Michael Porter Jr. shooting 44% from three and 54% from the field, y'all. Like 6'10", athletic. He's a good help. He's a decent weak side defender, a good help side defender. He's going to continue to improve. But like I said, he's going to turn 24 years old. I want to say 23. You're going to turn 23 in June? I think he turned in 24 in June. I can't remember. Michael Porter Jr. is a baby, though. Like, I know people are down on him with the contract and the extension, but y'all, if he is able to do what he did 2 seasons ago, which he stayed healthy virtually the entire year, and even 3 years ago when he played in his rookie year, what he was able to do. Like, Michael Porter Jr. has the chance to be an all-star, like next year. Like, the difference between him being an all-star and him being a player that is, what he was, just health. All it is health. But Michael Porter Jr. can do that. So here's my thing. I just want the Denver Nuggets to find a way to fortify Nikola Jokic, $260 million extension, Pantheon great player, one of the 40 greatest players in NBA history already, going into his age 27 season. With Jamal, with Michael Porter Jr., with Aaron Gordon, what are they lacking? They're lacking off-ball shooting, and they're lacking on-ball defense, and they're lacking at-the-rim defense. Off-ball shooting, spot-up shooting. You could say a tertiary playmaker if you want. Will Barton's a good tertiary playmaker. Maybe you want to replace that. But then you also need somebody who can be a point-of-attack defender. And at least you want to find somebody that can help at-the-rim defense. Now, that's where your Isaiah Hartensteins, that's where your JaVale McGee's come into play. That's where your Hassan Whiteside's come into play. He's going to be a free agent. Maybe the Denver Nuggets finally do that. Maybe Calvin Booth looks at it and says that, look, man, I know Michael Malone has traditionally wanted to play big, but we saw with Boogie Cousins. If you can't get Boogie Cousins back because he's going to make too much money, maybe Hassan Whiteside is the way to go. Maybe you just say, look, man, I just need somebody I know for a fact can play at the rim. And he can. So maybe they sign Hassan Whiteside or bring back JaVale McGee or get Isaiah Hartenstein. There's a legitimate opportunity for them to do so. But then, for me, my ideal candidates for the 2 position for the Denver Nuggets, there's really 3 players. And these are the 3 players I want to talk about right now. Dejounte Murray from the San Antonio Spurs on a 4-year, $64 million deal. Lou Dort, who's currently with the Oklahoma City Thunder. And then you already know, if you've heard me on Twitter, Josh Hart. These are the 3 players I would love to see the Denver Nuggets target in terms of, like, if I had my ideal picks of who would be the ideal fits next to Nikola Jokic to maximize this window with Jamal, with Porter, with Gordon, with Jokic, who would be the best fit there? Dejounte Murray was an all-star player last year. Dejounte Murray is a multi-tooled player. Dejounte Murray, again, he came off that ACL injury, and he came back a couple years later, had his best season of his career. Dejounte Murray this year averaged 21 points a game on 46% shooting. He averaged 8.3 rebounds, 9.2 assists, but 2 steals a game, and legitimately should have probably been first or second team all defense. Again, still, he started his career off being an all-defense player. He just elevated offensively. Dejounte Murray gives you point-of-attack defense, help side defense. He's an extremely smart player who fits exactly in the Spurs system. He understands the game well. He would know how to play with Nikola Jokic very well. Dejounte Murray is the 1,000% first player I would like to see them target. Now, the next question is, what does a trade offer for them look like? So I put this out on Twitter a couple of times. It depends on where the Spurs are in their development. The Spurs they don't quite have a team that's good enough, I think, to contend for the playoffs in the West. They're going to try to make the play-in, but based on where they are on their timeline, they actually could get more from trading Dejounte, and then thus on the other side of it, getting access to be able to build around. Because Dejounte is 25 years old. He's 6'4" with a 6'10" wingspan, y'all. 6'4" with a 6'10" wingspan. Dejounte Murray is one of those players where if somebody could get a hold of him, he takes your team from being good to great and great to elite, because he's going to be your secondary. But in this case, he would be the Denver Nuggets' third or fourth option on any given night, which would make this spectacular. Dejounte Murray's contract, y'all, started this 2 seasons ago, and we're going to be going into a year where there's 2 years left on this deal at 16.5 and at 17.7. 16.5 and 17.7. So here's the thing. Dejounte Murray, I think, in my estimation, if you said to the Spurs, we're going to give you Will Barton contract, very similar. Will's going to make about $16 or $15 million this year. It's going to be tough, y'all, but we'll give you Bones Highland. Bones Highland, second team all-rookie. If you look at the Denver Nuggets all-rookie players over the last few years, which is Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic, Carmelo Anthony, those players turn out to be very good to elite players. And then you put 2 first-round picks in there. For me, that's more than enough of a conversation for the San Antonio Spurs to at least have to listen. Why? Because you get to give an expiring deal on a team that is looking to sell, I think, coming into next year. When you put a player like Will Barton in there who has 1 year left on his deal, and they're also trying to say that, hey, we don't have the pieces to do what we want to do to make the playoffs and at least make a serious run. What's the way we can maximize some players on our roster right now? I would like to see them throw out Will Barton, Bones Highland, and 2 first-round picks for Dejounte Murray. Now, some people are like, well, how could you trade Bones Highland? Bones Highland he's very good. He's this, and this. He's, he great shooter. He was the best 3-point shooter in the rookie class. Again, I told you, all-star level potential. But my thing is you would have to wait probably 3 seasons for him to reach that level of being an all-star level player. At least 2 seasons. So you have a player right now who's already going into the next year at 26 years old, essentially, it's going to be in his prime, who is 6'5" or 6'4" with a 6'10" wingspan, who's an all-defense caliber player, as well as being a B to B plus level offensive player. So you're telling me you can put a player like that between Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr., who's also very intelligent, and then you could say that player right now at 25 and give him an opportunity to be next to Nikola Jokic, man, y'all have to do it. You have to do it. And I know folks have an affinity. I have an affinity for Bones Highland. I've been telling you all how good Bones Highland is. I think he's spectacular. But again, we're now entering a precipice where Nikola Jokic is signing a 5-year, $260 million deal, which means over the next 6 seasons, they have to win at least 1 championship. Over the next 6 seasons, they have to win at least 1 championship. So if I want to maximize and say I need an off-ball scorer, I need an on-ball defender, I need a tertiary or secondary playmaker, and then I need a player who is good enough to slide in next to Nikola Jokic and elevate this team from great to elite and elite to the best. If you ran out a roster of Jamal Murray, Dejounte Murray, Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, and Nikola Jokic, that's by far the best 5-man unit in the NBA. I'm telling you, by far. Because you would have 3 elite scorers, Jamal Murray, Porter, Jokic. 3 elite scorers. Maybe the best scorer in the NBA in Jokic. You would have 2 very good defenders in Aaron Gordon and Dejounte Murray. You would have 2 elite ball handlers, Jamal Murray and Dejounte Murray. And then you have the second or third best playmaker in the NBA, and Nikola Jokic. So the question is, would you sacrifice the future, which George Karl, if you were a part of that episode, if you listened to that episode, has always talked about this. We're so worried about the future. You have to worry about right now when you have a player like this. If I have an opportunity to get Nikola Jokic with Dejounte Murray, I'm doing it. I'm sorry. Like I'm doing it. I'm throwing it out. It has to happen. And by the way, y'all, please, if you have a question or something you want to add, please drop it in the chat. Drop a super chat. Go ahead. Let me know what y'all have to think. What y'all think about that trade package, whatever else it might be. Let me see. One of the comments we have, sounds like the decision will be who's the better trade asset right now and what deal can be had for either between Monte and Bones. I'd much rather see Monte prosper elsewhere than Bones. Yeah, well, that's the thing. That's the issue. When you're doing this kind of stuff, you have to give the talent. Like, you have to give out the talent. And like I said, man, I would be aggressive on the phones this summer asking for that deal. So again, like I said, that's it. That's Dejounte. That's the first one. The next one, Josh Hart. Much less. That's Will Barton. That's a first-round pick. They might be trying to sign DeAndre Ayton this offseason. They need to clear out because they're going to have to sign him to a max. So right now, if you say to the Portland Trail Blazers, I'm willing to give you Will Barton, you want to throw out a first-round pick, you can, or you want to put something else. Hey, we'll give you Will. Matter of fact, hey, Portland, we'll give you Will Barton and Deke Naji. So you get an expiring deal, which you love, because you're either rebuilding or trying to make room for DeAndre Ayton. And then we'll also give you Deke Naji. We'll give you a young asset. And then if we need to throw in a second-round pick or 2 second-round picks, let's do that. Let's have that conversation. I'm willing anywhere between Will Barton and the first, which I think is that's a little on the high side, but I think Will Barton in the first. And then I think the other side is saying Will Barton and Deke Naji. I'm willing to do it. Josh Hart, I know people have this thing with Josh Hart saying, well, he's not like an elite point of attack defender. But again, let me just read these metrics off to you so you all can see what I'm talking about. Josh Hart is 6'5". He's 215 pounds. And Josh Hart is 27 years old. He literally is on – he has 2 more years left on his deal at 12.9 and at 12.9 the following year. And at age 27 and 28 seasons, Josh Hart is like the perfect kind of player who is a good enough spot-up shooter, a good enough defender, and a smart enough player, a good enough cutter, and a good enough decision maker where you put that player next to Nikola Jokic, and that player becomes like a whole another level of good. That's Josh Hart. I've been talking about Josh Hart on Twitter for the longest. I think that Josh Hart has so much potential, and that Josh Hart is the kind of player that you could put on a contender and it takes them over the top. That's the kind of player that wins a finals game for you, wins a conference finals game for you, helps you win a series in the playoffs. That's how high I am on Josh Hart, and I think he's very gettable. And again, if the Portland Trail Blazers are going to try and max out, they're going to try and max out what they're going to get from DeAndre Ayton. Hey, man, I'm telling y'all right now, I'm making that trade right now, and it's honestly it's not super hard. Again, I know people are torn about whether they value Josh Hart like that. Let me see. I'm trying to pull up these numbers for y'all real quick. So I put this out in the 13 games. Josh Hart. Let me share this with y'all so y'all can see it for yourselves. There's only a 13-game sample size, but it matters for me because again, I think similarly, this is the kind of player that he could be. Let's see. All right. Let me pull this up for y'all. So that's Josh Hart's information right there. Again, like I said, man. Lee. My bad. Hold on. All right. Look at this. Josh Hart in 13 games with the Portland Trail Blazers averaged 19.9 points a game, 5.4 rebounds a game, 4.3 assists per game, 1.2 steals per game. He shot 50% from the field. He shot 37% from 3. He shot 77% from the line. He had a 62% true shooting, and he had a PER of 19.4, which is very good relative to a role player, and a 1.9 box plus minus. Again, 6'5", 215, 27 years old. 25-4 on 50, 37, and 77 on 62% true shooting. on 62% true shooting. So Josh Hart, yeah, without a doubt, a player, 1,000% a player that I want to add to the Denver Nuggets. No question. Josh Hart is absolutely a player I want to add to the Denver Nuggets. So if the Denver Nuggets have an opportunity, like I said, Will Barton, first-round pick, or Will Barton, Zeke Naji, hey, give them a young asset, give them a first-round pick, take the expiring contract. They can throw some money at DeAndre Ayton. The Denver Nuggets can play ball. They can play ball right here. And so this is ideally the second option I would have. And then again, the last option that I would have is for Lu Dort. Now, Lu Dort is hit or miss in some ways. Lu Dort this season, relative to relative to the kind of player he is, he played very well. Lu Dort this year, let me pull this up for y'all per ESPN. Share screen. Share screen. All right. Lu Dort. The great player Lu Dort. Lu Dort this year, 17.2 points a game, 4.2 rebounds, 1.7 assists this year. And he shot 33% from the three-point line. He shot 40% from the field. It's not great. 84% from the line, which this line, 84% of the line shows you he actually can shoot better. But again, he needs to be in a better offense altogether. 17 points a game, 4 rebounds a game, 1 assist. And like I said, he's one of the best possible defenders that you could ask for, by far. He's one of the best possible defenders that you could ask for. So I think that Lu Dort, for me, is that third option I'd be looking at. Dejounte Murray, number one. Like I said, you've got to throw in Will Barton. You got to throw in Bones Highland. Throw in 2 first-round picks. Whatever they can do it. I think on the day of the draft, they can throw in 2 first-round picks. I would try. At least see what the conversation is. Josh Hart. See what Josh Hart looking out there for. Josh Hart, Will Barton, Zeke Naji, Will Barton in the first. We'll see. And then Lu Dort. I think Lu Dort is gettable for Will Barton in a first. I think Lu Dort might be gettable for like a first and Zeke Naji because they don't really need the assets back. Like the issue is the Nuggets need to clear out a little bit of cap space. But I think the Thunder, depending on where they are with Shai Gilgeous, Josh Giddey, they might get Chet Holmgren. So they're going to be retooling and rebuilding. I really do fully believe that like Lu Dort is by far like one of the 3 best options that they can go after during this offseason. So they're going to try to go after one of these guards, I hope. And then, like I said, I think, again, they're also going to try to make a signing for Isaiah Hartenstein again, somewhere JaVale McGee, maybe, Hassan Whiteside. But, again, that's if they don't get DeMarcus Cousins. We'll see what Calvin Booth, what he really, targets, what he values. And so, like I said, the reason that this is all important and the only reason it's relevant, Nikola Jokic is going to sign a 5-year, $260 million deal. So if that's the case, then you have a 6-year window where you have to win at least 1 championship, and you have to maximize Murray, you have to maximize Porter, you have to maximize Gordon, and you definitely have to maximize Jokic. So if you have to trade assets in order to get there, well, there is no more running from it. This is it. This is the time. So this is what I would do. I would love to see if they can go after one of these 3 players. I think that the time is now, that the organization has its best player in their prime, and I think in the 2nd year of his prime. And this is just where you have to make these hard decisions that even though you might not want to give up Bones, you might want to give up a Zeke. The fact of the matter is, man, there is no more guessing. There's no more waiting. You didn't waste 2 postseason runs for Nikola Jokic because you don't waste time when players are hurt. It's not his fault. It's not anybody's fault that Jamal Murray tore his ACL. So I would never say it's a waste. But what you have to do, the better word, is maximization. You have to maximize what Nikola Jokic is, how good he is. You have to be able to fortify him and fortify the things that he does well and things he doesn't do well. Over the last 15 playoff games, Nikola Jokic, let me see. In the last 2 postseasons, Last 2 postseasons for Nikola Jokic. Let me see. Hold on. So Nikola Jokic's last 15 playoff games, and meaning since Jamal Murray has been down with an ACL, Nikola Jokic is averaging 30, 12, and 5. 30, 12, and 5 over the last 15 games, shooting 53% from the field. Like, he's been incredible. He's been incredible. But it's really just been him. Porter averaged 16 points a game last season in the playoffs, I want to say. I think Aaron Gordon was averaging like 16 or 15 points a game. Like, they just can't do it. Like, it can't be Monte Morris and Will Barton. And I believe that Jamal Murray is good enough to be the number 2 option on the championship team. I've seen it in the playoffs. I believe Jamal Murray can get it done. But what's going to happen out here is that you're going to have real conversations with yourself in order to give Jokic everything he possibly needs. But here's the thing. When you have a player like this, even if you make a mistake, you make a mistake and you keep it moving. You make a mistake and you keep it moving. You retool. You continue to retool. But I don't think trading for Dejounte, trading for Lou, or trading for Josh Hart, I don't think that's a mistake. I think that's something you have to do. So, yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see. Like I said, you maximize the time you have with players like this, Pantheon greats. You have no choice, man. You got to get it done. And this is an opportunity. I'm going to have more content coming out, more, consistently. And I can't tell you exactly what's happening, but there are some big things that are happening behind the scenes and things that I'm trying to get done to give you all more content, give you great content, and really, honestly, man, make some upgrades and do some things that are going to take this channel, take this platform to a new level, and be able to give you like more in-depth things as well. Because there's just it takes time in order to get certain places, man. But this channel we're about to do something, man. So like I said below, follow me at Swipe a Cam on Twitter, follow me at Swipe a Cam on TikTok, follow me at Swipe a Cam on IG. Continue to put content out, y'all. Man, I'm telling y'all, this is the season. This is it. It's time. No more playing around. Dejounte Murray, Josh Hart, Lou Dort. You maximize the roster around Nikola Jokic. 5-year, $260 million extension on the way. Back-to-back MVP. Top 40 player ever already. Do what needs to be done. Hey, shout out to y'all. Swipe again. Y'all know my people, man. Hey, see you.